Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone is safe and well. My name is Adarsh Dattani, and I'm the founder and CEO at Netensity. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join this webinar today. Let's quickly go over a couple of things before we get started. Your audio is automatically muted when you join so all attendees can hear the presentation clearly. Please use the Q&A feature at any time during this presentation to ask questions. I will answer your questions in the Q&A section, and our host, Casey, will also pause intermittently to personally answer your questions. Today's presentation will be mainly focused on our newest release and version 3 of the Mover Bol app and how you can go paperless and maximize your profits using this awesome app. We believe that this new release of the app is going to be a game changer for our customers as we have built several features to help your crew leads handle almost every kind of move and situation when they are out there at the job site, whether it's a local move, long distance move, or a commercial project, and whether it's a single day move or a multi day move. This is also a much awaited release as it has been in development and testing for over a year as we wanted to get it completely right before releasing this upgrade. Our webinar host today is none other than Casey Fox. Casey is a co-founder at Netensity and he spearheads mobile app development at Netensity. Casey will do a tour of the entire paperless workflow inside the Mover Bol app, and he will also highlight the new features in this release during his presentation. Casey will also show our existing customers how they can dial in some of the new settings in this release. This new release is expected to be live on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store next week, and we will send out an announcement when it is live. And the last thing before we begin, we also have a special guest with us today. Joining us today as a guest speaker, we have Alex Dimitrakopoulos, who is the CEO at Remedy Payments. Some of you may already know Alex. Alex and his team have been completely transforming the payment processing experience for Movegistics customers. Towards the end of this presentation, Alex will talk about how Remedy Payments has been helping Movegistics customers, and he will also educate us on the huge benefits of using card readers in conjunction with this new release of the Bol app. All right, let's begin the presentation. Casey, over to you.
Thanks, Adarsh. Welcome everybody to the webinar. For those who don't know me, my name is Casey Fox. I'm the co-founder here at Netensity. I'm also a moving company owner. I've been in the industry for over 20 years. And I'm going to get pretty quickly into the app today. I know that's what we're all here for. Before doing that, just wanted to go over a couple of things. One of the primary advantages of using our systems is the seamless flow of information. Data originates in the CRM and is exchanged back and forth between our various apps, Mover Survey and Mover Bol, to make sure that your crews are completely prepared and have everything they need at their fingertips, starting with the back office and then information from the surveyor as well. There are a lot of great advantages and reasons to go with the Mover Bol app. Of course, cost savings, claim reduction, increased productivity, and ultimately profits, which we're all looking for. I'll get into detail on how you can experience and utilize to take advantage of some of these things. Some of the main benefits of going paperless and using our Bol app is obviously to drive profitability across your fleet. We estimate that you can expect savings of several $1,000s per truck every year by moving to the Bol app. Reasons for that include savings on direct paper cost, savings on indirect paper cost, especially admin. You can greatly reduce the time spent preparing, handing off, scanning, filing, and shredding paperwork, and also making sure that all information makes it out to the crew. Your supervisors and crew experience a drastic increase in productivity, reduced labor costs spent tracking, calculating, rounding, totaling things up. You experience a lot of gained efficiency with transparent job site and crew activity in real time. You can really monitor billable activity, time spent on breaks, and things of that nature. There's also a lot of opportunity costs. losses from missing information, having to return back to the shop to get supplies, lack of overall preparation, and most importantly, billing and calculation errors that happen when doing things manually. You also have the opportunity for admin interaction, review, and approval before collecting final charges. Claims can be greatly reduced by permanently documenting any pre-existing damage or liability concerns. A big one here is worker satisfaction. A sense of improved preparation, knowing what they're getting into before they get out to the job site, easier workflows, and a drastic increase in gratuities. I think that's one of the best selling points for adoption across your crew is they will see an extreme increase in tips, which is always wonderful. Improved documentation, having everything stored in a central location, all of your signatures, photos, documents, they're easy to access in Movegistics, easy to send to the customer upon request. And integrated payments, being able to seamlessly take those credit card transactions. We'll be introducing our new Bluetooth card reader integration and Remedy payment solutions. Literally, you can save thousands of dollars or more per year on processing rates and reduce chargebacks. All of our apps are available on iOS and Android. Our integration with the Bluetooth card reader is the BBPOS Chipper 2X. We'll be giving you a little bit more information on that as well. And without further ado, we'll jump right into our demo here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the CRM today, but I do need to start there to highlight one of the biggest changes and upgrades that we've made. You'll find extreme value here, and that is in our Mover Bol settings. You can access these by going to Settings, Personalize, and Mover Bol settings. And what we've done with every single one of these is broken them out into move types where you can have specific settings, language, documents, terms, valuation, etc., per move type. In my specific instance, I do not have commercial move types enabled. I do not have interstate or international move types enabled. If you have those enabled in your instance, those options will be here for you as well. Forms and documents is a really nice one for move type. If you have different types of release forms or signatures that are required for interstate, commercial moves, etc., you can now have custom setups on forms and documents. Also, activities list. When you are using the clock in, clock out function in the app, you can have your own custom set of activities. If this were a commercial job, for example, and maybe the activity is equipment delivery or install or cleanup or whatever that might be, you can create that custom clock activity. Also, for each move type, you can have certain default settings for what's enabled and disabled in the app, the type of information that gets sent out. Again, using commercial as an example, a lot of commercial companies may not want the pricing to be sent to their crew. And so if that were the case, I could disable the hourly rate, or I could disable the bill of lading entirely and only use the app for collecting signatures and documenting times and things like that. Also, a brand new feature just released this week, travel charges for companies that separate travel charges. Maybe it's a per mile charge or a port to port or round trip. You have the ability in Movegistics to set up custom travel charges. Maybe it's not just straight billable time or double drive time in California. You can choose to separate that in the move charges as opposed to including it all in one. Feel free to explore these settings. They have not been released yet. They will be released along with the update of the Mover Bol app, which will come out next week. Everything's ready. We wanted to just give our existing users some time to see the new features, understand the settings changes, and be prepared to navigate those.
Allison asked, how can you make a worker assignable to a job? We struggled with this when we were testing it and didn't see any names in the dropdown.
Okay, yeah, let me show that here. So first of all, a user has to have a license in order to be assignable. All right, when you have a work order, I'll need to create a new one here because I've closed some of these out. Inside the work order, you need to have workers assigned, obviously. Once you have workers assigned, you'll go to the Mover Bol tab, and any worker with a license will be available. Click on Send to Mover Bol App, select my dropdown. Only these two workers have licenses, so those are the only two that I can send it to. Select one, and then here you can override some of your default settings from this screen. For instance, if you don't want to show the bill of lading, if you want to separate travel charges, do or do not want to use the clock function. Some companies prefer to use the clock function, but they don't care about separating out the time for loading, driving, unloading. They just want to run the clock all day based on that crew size. So you can actually do what's called consolidation there. So that's the process of assigning workers. They have to be in the work order assigned to the job. They have to have a license available to send the app invitation out.
Thanks, Casey. Allison, I hope that answered your question. If not, feel free to send us an email and I'll be happy to personally help you.
Now let's head over to the app. All right, this is going to be the home screen. When a driver or supervisor logs into the BOL app, they will have a list of all assigned jobs. Here, you're going to have a really nice overview. That's a combination of customer data, opportunity data, and work order specific details. You'll see your primary pickup and delivery locations here. We have Google Maps integration built in, so I can tap on an address. It'll take me right out to Google Maps for easy navigation. If enabled on the tablet, you also have built-in calling feature. Click on the phone number, make that phone call out. And the job summary is where your crew lead is going to review specific location details, maybe gate codes, contact information, and their crew and supplies for the day. They can see who's been assigned to the job with them. They can review any trucks if assigned, the materials needed. We've done a little bit of a formatting update here where it's just very clear and obvious the materials and quantities that are needed. And then also they'll have notes from the job. Work order specific notes will be in bold, various notes from either the survey or the office that have been accumulated throughout the life of the job. Now, in these tabs, they can make changes, add, edit, delete. If another worker has been assigned to this job or a temporary guy shows up to help, they can assign them here. They can remove guys if they didn't show up. I can also make changes to materials, to actual quantities that I took to the job site or extra materials that I took with me or deleting materials that I didn't take with me. So pre-job prep, the crew lead has a lot of information available and can also begin to exchange that information with the office and admin personnel. When I'm ready to begin a job, this will say start move. I've already started this move, so I'm going to go ahead and resume this move. And we're going to go to our home screen for this particular work order. Really nice feature here that's commonly used is this ETA. This can be used throughout the day to notify a customer of expected arrival. I can choose the address that I'll be heading to. This could be in the morning on the way to origin. This could be at lunch on the way to destination. Google Maps will pull the calculated ETA, but I can adjust this if I need to account for traffic or extra stops. Maybe you need to get some fuel or something along those lines. And I can send that to the customer via text message and or email to let them know that I'm on the way. We have a new feature that will be coming soon that will also give them a live tracking link to view truck location as well. So we're looking forward to that. I've already pretty well covered the job summary and notes as well, but I will point out an important feature in notes once the job has already been started. So I can review the notes, but I can also add a note. And this is a really nice feature for the supervisor to pass along information back to the office or to an upcoming crew for a future work order. Apple's voice dictation feature works really nice here. Please bring 4 extra wardrobes and a mirror pack for move day. And that note will now stick with the job, and future crews will be able to see that, and the office will be able to see that as well. One of the most used tabs is going to be our walkthrough tab. And this is going to be where the heart of our paperless solution. Here you'll be able to review the estimate order for service. This is going to show any pricing that is currently live in the CRM pricing tool. I'm showing an example for a local job, but this can be utilized for all move types. If you're using TechMate pricing, that's what's going to push here to the estimate order for service. If you're using your own native tariffs, spot rates, commercial rates with resource type, etc., whatever is, like I said, currently live in your opportunity pricing tool, that's what's going to come to the app. You'll see the exact same categories, and I can click in to get detail about exactly what has been estimated here, and present this to the customer for that move day signature on the estimate order for service. Important notes will also bring in anything that the estimator may have put in the pricing tool, and I can easily get a signature. Now, you may have noticed that before that it said signature required. That's a new feature, just giving a visual indicator that this process most likely needs to be completed, and then once done it will be marked as complete. This is also great for change orders. Even though a document has already been signed, maybe some additional services have been discovered or requested, and the crew lead can let the office know. The office can make some changes back in the pricing tool. And now I can see that a signature is required again because some changes have been made, and now I can get my change order signed. Next up, we have our list of articles. This is going to show a detailed inventory as provided by the surveyor using our Mover survey app, or by office admin using our built-in inventory tool. Here you'll have a really nice room by room descriptive inventory that the crew lead can reference as they do their walkthrough various areas. Here, I could also update for actual quantities if I discover that there are more of something than anticipated, or the customer has added things. I can make updates to this inventory for office review to potentially send that change order. I can also get a signature from customer or the supervisor just acknowledging that the inventory appears consistent with the expected service at hand. Next up is our photos tab. This is something that the crew leaders just absolutely love when you talk about job preparation photos. And these photos are going to originate in the Mover survey app from the surveyor. Photos can also be uploaded in the CRM to the photos tab. Here I can click in and see origin photos, destination photos, specific room by room inventory photos, maybe for specialty items. And here also, I can upload my own photos. This is where you can document pre-existing damages or liability concerns to help reduce those claims. Cord missing from the back of the refrigerator. And the supervisor can utilize this photos feature and upload as many photos as they need. You'll also see we've added a couple of upgrades here. We have a photo counter. It's going to let me know, how many photos I've uploaded for this particular job. And valuation, most states require a wet signature prior to the move starting. And so I've got a signature required here. Like I said, you can customize the valuation options based on each move type. And get that signature on move day. I can see the valuation has now been marked as complete. On to forms and documents, one of the most useful features here. This again is the heart of going paperless. You can transfer all of your waivers, liabilities, acknowledgments into custom forms and documents here that you can have the customer sign off on. You'll have your standard default language. You can also make notes and exceptions. Could not reconnect the water line. The angle stop valve wouldn't shut off. I can choose the location where this form is being signed and collect that signature. Again, you can have any number of waiver liability acknowledgement forms to be used throughout the course of the job. The plants wouldn't fit on the back of the truck. Customer acknowledges they will transport on their own. As I complete forms, they'll be marked off. I can also reuse the same form again. If I come across multiple TVs that have damage, I can create a separate form for each TV. And then I can see back here in the home screen, it's also going to give me a nice counter of forms that have been completed for this particular work order. Lastly, we have our storage agreement for jobs involving storage where you've loaded everything up and now you're going to be hauling those goods off site. You can present your recurring or one-time storage charges to the customer. You can also make sure that you have up-to-date contact information, phone address, etc., and collect that final signature. I'm going to make a quick pause here, see if we have any questions about the general walkthrough tab, electronic signatures, photos, list of articles, anything of that nature.
Yes, Casey, we have a couple of questions. I just answered them on chat. John wanted to know if you set up the system to not show pricing, will the estimate show up on the BOL? So yeah, the answer to that is we have a separate setting to hide the estimate. So yes, you can hide the estimate as well. And then Guestian asked, is it possible to set up the Mover Bol apps such as at the end of each move, they are able to see what they made for each particular move? And the answer is they won't see it in the app as the crew lead is operating the app. However, we have an option in the CRM to email the wage summary for each job with just a single click.
Right. So at the worker level, we do have, like I said, that payroll notification for them to see how much they earned on that particular job. And then on the company side, once a job has been completed in the BOL app, you will also have the opportunity to analyze your income, your expenses, and your profit margin associated with each work order.
Thanks, Casey.
Anything else, Darsh?
That's it for now, Casey.
Okay, I'll continue to move on and show you our clock function. We've made some really nice upgrades to the clock function here, and this is where crew leaders really love this because the concept of having to track specific time frames on paper, round those, convert those to decimals, add them up, calculate times the hourly rate at the end of the day or for each activity. This eliminates and automates that step for them. When utilizing the clock in feature, and I will stress too that you're not required to use the clock in feature. This is also part of the settings. If this is a long distance move where there are no hourly aspects about it, then you can disable the clock in. If this is a commercial type move and it's a flat rate, you don't have to use the clock in, clock out. One update and new feature that we have made here is that this clock function is now available for long distance moves. Oftentimes the long distance move is not factored on time. The opportunity is a long distance move, but there may be some hourly elements to it. If there's a packing work order prior to the long distance move, if there's a local storage in work order prior to the long distance moves, you can now enable the clock function and utilize that for all move types. By simply clicking the clock in button, I will get a list of activities that comes from the setting based on my move type. And I can Now select specific workers associated with this activity. If this is a commercial move type, your resource selection will also be available. So first you would select resource type, then you would select workers with that designation. Here I can remove workers. I can add workers. This is one of the biggest upgrades that we've made to the clock function. As I make changes to my crew size, adding workers, even potentially adding temporary workers, maybe for van line helpers or something like that that might show up, you can see that my worker count starts to update. And if I have the correct rates set up, my rate will also start to update in the app. Now that the clock is running, I can manage my breaks. If we stop for a 10-minute water break, I can click the break button. Once our break is finished, I can resume with billable activities and clock out. You also have pre-job billable or non-billable activities, post-job billable, non-billable activities. And there I can see my rate starts to update for billable activities. So using the clock button throughout the day really helps the crew lead keep track of billable, non-billable time. And now I can click over to this activity details screen to review my activities. These will be listed in chronological order from the time that they started. I can edit, delete, or add activities here. Maybe I forgot to start the clock when I arrived at the job site. I can come in and make sure that these times are accurate. If I don't want to use the clock button, I can also manually create activities here. I'll get the pop-up to select the activity. I can manage my workers, adjust crew size, trucks, rates, etc. A couple of new screens here. Worker details. If I click on worker details, I can see a breakdown for each worker, the activity that they performed, times, breaks, total hours worked for payroll purposes, total billable hours for each guy on the job. Here I can also review the show totals screen. Show totals is going to be a summary of all non-billable and billable activities with the crew size, rates, and total charges associated with each activity, and a running tally of my total charges to this point. I'll pause briefly to see if there are any questions regarding the clock function or activities.
Yes, we have a couple more questions, Casey. So Zach asked if you were able to clock in, clock out for post job after completing the BOL.
Not after completing the BOL, unfortunately. That is a new feature that we have on tap. For current purposes, they'll need to estimate their post-job times.
But they can, correct me if I'm wrong, Casey, but once the BOL is started, you are able to add manual activities now, right?
Correct, yes. Once you start the BOL, you can still go back and create a manual activity. It's just that once you've completely closed out the job, you cannot enter that post-job activity.
Right. And then Mark asked if there is a way to show in packing materials what supplies were returned or unused. So that's not something we can do right now, but that is definitely planned for an upcoming release. And then guest Chian also asked, is it possible on the customer side to review movers' performance separate from the company's performance? I think that's what he means. In the app, the customer can leave a review, and Casey will get to that. And then in the CRM, we have reports that will let you aggregate and see star ratings by job and as well as by mover over a period of time?
Going back quickly to the materials scenario, although we don't directly provide that data yet, there is a way to aggregate that data. So I can see in the work order what materials were taken out. I can then see in the bill of lading what materials were charged for. Therefore, the difference should be materials returned.
There we go. Douglas had a question. How about two jobs on the same day? Does the worker report show all hours for that day?
I don't believe so, not related to the app. The app is work order specific. Um, I believe we do have payroll reports, however, that will combine for a single day. Adarsh may be able to answer that better.
That is correct. The payroll report will have all that information.
Right.
And then Javed said that partially answers my questions. My guys arrive at the warehouse, get ready, drive to client, start billable hours, finish job, and finally clock out when they return to the warehouse. So there is not a way to track the hours that they are at the warehouse getting ready and the time it takes for them to get from final destination to back to warehouse.
We do have the pre-job where they can start the clock when they arrive at the warehouse and begin their pre-job preparation, their travel time to the job site before billable time starts. As far as post-job goes, that will have to be entered as an estimated post-job time from them. Like I said, we will be expanding our post-job features to continue to be able to use the clock, maybe even complete some post-job documents that are not related to the customer. Maybe it's a truck cleanliness sign off or things along those lines. We will have some expanded post-job features coming up.
Great questions. All right, those are the questions for now.
Okay, let's head back to the app here, and I'm going to start the bill of lading. Before I do that, though, the intention of this particular work order was for packing. I wanted to show a complete activity log for that, but I'm not going to be billing for moving until the next work order. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these. And I'm going to create a packing activity. Okay, I'll go ahead and move forward to the bill of lading now, where I can review and calculate my final charges for the day. Here, my clocked activities will move into the move charges category. It's also going to populate pre-existing data from the estimate / order for service. Here's where I can review what was estimated. And as I move forward to the next step, I'll be able to edit and adjust for actuals. We had some packing labor, some recurring storage charges. Everything from the estimate order for service is going to pre-populate on the bill of lading here for me. I'm going to click on Start Bill of Lading, which is a significant action. This will disable the clock function. This will move forward to final billing. If I had yet to select valuation or get the order for service signed because I forgot for whatever reason, it will prompt me to go back and do that. Here I can now start to make edits to my charges. Packing materials, for example, I can edit the actual quantity. I could add materials that maybe weren't part of the estimate. I can dictate whether those are taxable or non-taxable items. Maybe these are pieces of equipment that are non-taxable. For me, at my company, our operation, I don't like to leave packing charges in the move charges section because often we'll discount move charges, but we won't discount packing charges. So I like to get those in different categories where I can manipulate the discounts on those. And so Oftentimes what I'll do is we'll use the clock time as a reference, but I'm going to remove that from move charges, and I'm going to transfer that over to additional charges. So that way I can discount them separately if I want to. In this particular case, I'm not going to charge the storage charge on this work order either. I want to charge that when we perform the move. So I can delete that. I can get charges set up for exactly what we completed today and what I want to charge for today. At this point, here's where we can get the office involved. I'm going to go ahead and send for approval. Before doing that, let me go back to the CRM quickly. So when the app user clicks on send for approval, the office is going to get a notification that approval has been requested. I can go ahead and click on that and head into the dispatch screen and review the bill of lading. I'll get into some more of the actions and details here in the CRM a little bit later, but what I'm interested in right now is the bill of lading approval. The exact charges from the app are going to come in for me to review. Here I can make changes and edits if I need to. And I can send that back to the app user. The app user can then refresh, and those new charges have been pushed out to me. And I can move forward to completing this work order. That process can be followed any number of times. I can continue to send for approval and receive approval back if things change. I discover new services that need to be added, forgot to add something. That process can happen over and over again. Here we can present with terms and conditions as that come from the settings and sign off for final charges for that day. Here you'll have a sentiment check if you choose to have this pop up. This can be linked with automations in the CRM to prompt for social media reviews, Yelp reviews, follow-up action for low rating, things of that nature. And the tip screen. This can be enabled or disabled. The tip amounts are totally customizable. This is where, like I said, you will see a dramatic increase in tips for your crews. I've seen $3,000 tips come in on interstate moves that they probably never would have experienced before. Just yesterday, we had a guy get a $900 tip on a long distance move. The customer can skip this, or they can enter a flat rate. Maybe it's $20 per guy. They can customize that tip screen. And that's going to take us to payment. There are several different options for payment. One of them being skip payment. If this is maybe a commercial type move and you're going to be invoicing them later, you're not actually receiving payment today, I could go ahead and just skip payment. I'll get a drop down selection here to enter check, cashier's check, cash type payments, and our new card reader integration. This has a limitation in authorize.net where I can't screencast this process. And so I'm going to go ahead and switch over to our PowerPoint to show you some of these screenshots. When selecting the card reader function, you're going to get a screen to start a Bluetooth scan. It will then scan for nearby devices. This is the chipper Bluetooth reader that we've integrated. It will discover that device and allow you to insert the card, collect signature, and then send a receipt directly to the customer by entering their email address. You'll get a final confirmation screen of that receipt and authorization code in the app. You can also manually process credit cards using our Remedy Payments and Authorize.net integration, where you can enter card and security information to process that directly in the app. Another new feature is our carry forward feature. The premise of this is the first work order of a multi work order job. I've completed the packing. I'm not going to collect for packing today because I want to collect everything at the end of the job once I've completed the actual move. And so I would select carry forward, and that will push this balance forward to the next work order. And one of the big differences you'll see on the bill of lading now is this amount due from prior work orders. And I can go ahead and click on view all, and it's going to show me the date, the work order number, and the total amount due. I can also bring in total charges for today. And then as I move forward to collect payment, it's going to total everything up for me that had been carried forward to this point and allow me to collect the full amount for all work orders due. One of the biggest new features is this carry forward and support for multiple work orders. And I just wanted to recap a couple of the other things that go along with that. Back in the CRM, I created a new work order and I assigned that out to the driver. When the driver signs in, there's a couple of things that are already going to be done for him. So when I go to the walkthrough, because this estimate order for service had already been previously signed, it's still marked as completed for me. If any changes or updates were made, then it would mark as signature required. Same thing with valuation. Valuation had already previously been selected for this job on one of the work orders. That's going to be marked as complete for me. And then I'm going to have a reset on photos and forms. Photos and forms are going to be independent for each work order. They will not accumulate across various work orders because you might have, different forms that are signed on pack day, move day, storage day. And things of that nature. So I just wanted to highlight some of the improved flow and functionality for multiple work order jobs. I'm going to go ahead and just do a cash payment to close out this job. When you select cash or check payments, you will have the opportunity to take a picture of the check or photo ID if you want. And you can now complete the job and clear it out. Okay, back in the CRM, I'm going to get notification that work order has been complete. And let's take a look at what's been happening back here in the CRM throughout this process. So in the dispatch tab for a particular work order, I can now see that that work order has been closed. And as I head over to the Mover Bol tab, I'm going to have a couple of new buttons available here to me. Worker details, that's going to give me that payroll summary for the workers on that job. I'll also have the activity detail summary for the billable and non-billable activities. Here I'll have a running log of all the actions. This is where we talk about transparency, crew transparency as to when things are happening out there. I can also view my various signatures and documents for valuation, for estimate order for service or change orders that have been signed, all of my forms and documents that get accumulated, combined into one easy to view PDF. I can download this PDF and attach it as an email to my customer. You can also review the bill of lading. We have various templates and customizations available for bill of ladings. I have a custom one here that categorizes and summarizes all the charges per work order. And then I have my standard California bill of lading down at the bottom. I can email that off with one click to the customer. And then also some new tabs become available to me for income, expense, and profit analysis, where all of those charges from the final bill of lading are going to be populated here in actuals income. I can then review worker detail, make sure I have my payroll rates, fuel costs, things of that nature, to ultimately get my profit overview for the project or for the job. 95%, that'd be pretty nice, wouldn't
Yep. Casey, can you quickly go back to payroll for a second? In
Yeah.
the expenses? So right there is that button I was talking about earlier to email the pay summary to all the workers.
In payroll and expenses, you can also utilize your commission structures and different customizations that you might have set up in Movegistics. With that, I'm going to introduce Alex with Remedy Payment Solutions, and Alex will tell us a little bit about his services.
Hi there. Can everybody hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you, Alex.
Perfect. My name's Alex. Thank you, Casey, for the introduction, and thank you, Adarsh, for allowing me to chat with your clients today. So, we are a credit card processor that just focuses on the moving and storage industry. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our company, kind of what separates us and where we could add value to your company, and just talk a little bit about payment processing within Movegistics. So last year we processed over 1 billion in moving and storage payments alone. We really try to take a partnership approach. We're going to really evaluate your company, the forms and documentations that you're using to make sure you're protected against chargebacks, and to make sure you're getting the lowest rates by qualifying your transactions using data and card readers. We're really active within the moving and storage industry. We're part of several state associations. We do the payment processing for the California Moving and Storage Association. And we were lucky enough to get included on the 2022 Planning Committee for Dispatchers Convention. And Darsh and Casey at Intensity and Movegistics are one of the platinum sponsors. So thank you so much for your contributions to the event. We work with about 1,000 different moving and storage clients. And I say that because it's really important to understand the moving and storage industry as your payment processor. If you were a food truck or a restaurant or a convenience store, pretty much anyone can do your payment processing because you're going to have a physical device sitting at your register and it's fairly easy. Your transactions are for a low amount. Customers don't typically dispute their meals at restaurants. And the receipt that they have is pretty much all the documentation that they're going to need. They're not going to have bill of ladings and all sorts of additional information to support their transactions. We're also the endorsed payment processor for Movegistics. And what that does is it really bridges the gap between Movegistics and your payment processor. So a lot of times you'll have people pointing fingers and saying, oh, this is a problem coming from the software. No, this is a problem coming from your credit card processor. What we do is we have a direct channel with Movegistics, and we're going to resolve any issue that you may be having without pointing any fingers at each other. Here's a little bit about what you can expect from us. And I'm going to go into these in more detail on the following pages. But in terms of solutions, we can do it all. As a Movegistics client, you're going to want to use the full power of Movegistics to make sure that you're basically getting exactly what you paid for. You're using a CRM that's going to help you manage your business. The reports are going to be accurate, and you're going to be qualifying your transactions at the lowest rates. We know that no one wants to switch credit card processors to pay more money. So one of the benefits of the Movegistics agreement that we have is that we are guaranteeing to save every client money. There are pre-negotiated rates that Movegistics have, which are very aggressive. But if you want to see a side-by-side comparison on exactly what it means to you, we'll put together a proposal and we guarantee to be lower than your current provider. I'd say the biggest thing that really differentiates us from the competition is going to be our Chargeback Concierge. Chargebacks are really complicated, and as a mover or a business, you are guilty until proven innocent. I made a lot of notes about some of the tools that you can use within Movegistics to make sure that you're protected, and I'll go over those in just a second. But one thing that we really do in terms of chargebacks is a lot of providers in the industry, what they do is they send you a letter in the mail, and now it's on you to fight that dispute. We'll personally reach out to you. We'll work hand in hand with you. We'll review every document that you have. We'll make sure that you're presenting the strongest case possible. And then what we'll do is we will follow up on your case and we'll provide updates. So we really take the chargeback process out of your hands and we really try to help in that fashion. When it comes to the software integration, we seamlessly integrate with Movegistics. You're going to really enjoy the reporting tools when processing in Movegistics and also the tools available in the authorized.net gateway. When it comes to customer support, just understanding the moving industry really helps us. If you want to talk tariffs, if you want to talk bill of ladings, if you want to talk your drivers, scheduling, what it's like on the job when you're accepting a payment, we really understand your business and we know how to prescribe solutions just for that. There are no cancellation fees, so don't feel like you're making any big jump. The cost of having an account with us, if you don't process a dollar, is going to be less than $30 a month. So you don't have to jump off the bridge here and make a huge decision. You can just make a slow decision, add payment processing to your software, and then slowly transition more and more of your business over to the software. We're not going to make you wait for your deposits. We have next day deposits. As I mentioned, we did over 1 billion in moving and storage, so we're definitely experts. And when it comes to PCI compliance, if anyone's having any challenges with PCI compliance and getting validated, it is quite tedious. It can be a pain in the butt. We really take that out of your hands. We know the payment gateway that you're using, authorized.net. We know the software that you're using, and we'll make sure that you are compliant. We're committed to you. There's no tricks. We're not going to promise you one rate and then you're going to get a different rate. We like to be very accurate. If anything, I like to under promise and over deliver. And if anyone wants to get started, it'd be our pleasure to put together a proposal, kind of talk with you about the features that you'll experience within Movegistics, and then make sure that you are processing payments in the fashion that's going to qualify the transactions at the lowest rates. And just as everything in the industry, there are supply chain issues. The mobile reader that authorized.net has integrated is one of those items that is having stocking issues. We currently have 100 devices in stock that we're ready to roll out. And we're waiting on an update from authorized.net as to when more devices will be available. So if you're interested, definitely don't wait. And I'll make sure that this presentation is available to Movegistics clients. I can send it over to Adarsh, or if you need it, you can reach out to me. That's our contact information right there. And just to kind of talk about chargebacks real quickly and kind of highlight some of the advantages of the Movegistics software. When it comes to chargebacks, you really want to make sure that you are getting proof that the customer is agreeing to your policies. So just having a policy in place doesn't mean that you can communicate to the chargeback department that the customer agreed to your policy. So one thing I really liked here, and let me just go through my notes, was I really liked the valuation tool. Having a signature right next to the valuation is really important when it comes to protecting yourself against chargebacks. Because if you have a customer disputing it for any type of damages, you have proof that you communicated your damage policy to the customer and they agreed to it. So I really like that tool. Another thing is in the final terms and conditions, a release of liability, basically saying that everything was delivered in good fashion and that nothing was broken. That's really important because you may have somebody opening a box a week later and then they want to dispute the transaction. Well, you have proof that you delivered everything as promised. Couple other big chargebacks that people see are the name on the bill of lading. For example, if the father is paying for a job and the son's name's on the bill of lading. That's a big one that you want to be careful for. I've seen some companies lose some disputes because the father's name's been on the bill of lading and they haven't had the authorization of the father. They had it of the son. And then the son ultimately wanted all the packing and everything included. So he basically ran up a nice charge. So as you can see, we're really focused on the moving industry. We're here to help you. If you want us to take a look at your specific terms and conditions that you've uploaded into Movegistics, just to confirm your protection, we'd be happy to do so. We saw 3,500 chargebacks last year. So we've seen it all. We know how to win. We can't promise we're going to win, but we've been winning at a rate of over 90%. So I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you all today. And thank you so much for listening to this presentation. Let me go ahead and pass the screen back.
Thank you, Alex. That was very informative.
That pretty much concludes my presentation. I'll stop here for final questions.
Yes, we do have a few questions. Jim wanted to know, with respect to the clock in, clock out function, can the hours roll up to 15-minute intervals?
Not automatically, no, because there are just so many different regulations in different states. For us to enable that by default is going to help one user and hurt another user. The solution there is to use the clock in, clock out, then review the activity detail screen, and you can round those by editing the activities if you'd like. Maybe ultimately we could enable a setting that allows to round to 15-minute increments. We've attempted to round by default in the past, and like I said, some customers love it, some customers hate it. It's really hard to have a universal approach there.
All right. And Zach asked if a client pays more, this is actually what we were talking about last week, Casey. If a client pays more cash than what is due, for example, pays $1,000 instead of the 900 something dollars, is there a way to put an excess payment on the bill of lading? I believe it currently doesn't allow you to put a payment higher than what is due.
I'll have to check that workflow. I'm not 100% certain on that, but I believe you are correct that currently you cannot collect more than what is due. That should be something that can be easily addressed, however.
All right. And then Douglas asked, how does the app handle multi day moves or labor and materials entered by day?
Yes, the crew lead for each day tracks their time, tracks their materials specific to that day, and that's where that carry forward function comes into play. Where if it's day one in packing, and I've tracked my packing labor and I've tracked my materials, I'm going to go ahead and carry that forward to the maybe it's storage in work order. The storage in work order, that supervisor may be the same, maybe not. He'll track their loading, driving, unloading time, add in storage charges, and then he can collect for both packing and move day at the completion of that work order. Or you can continue to carry forward if it's a storage out within a couple of days and you want to collect when everything's done. Basically, each work order is treated independently, and that day's supervisor will track charges specific to that day.
Thanks, Casey. Alex, if you're still around, we have a question for you. Is instant transfer in the pipeline for Remedy?
It is. It's something that we are working on with our back-end bank. So the back-end bank that we use, who does more processing in the US than anyone else, is First Data. So First Data is the party that would be doing the instant transfer. And they do have some solutions, very few that they started piloting this on right now. And there will be additional solutions that will be available through like an authorized.net integration in the future. It's not available today, but it is something that I know the backend bank First Data, they're now Fiserv, is working on. And just to clarify for everyone what instant transfers are. Instant transfers are, let's say today you process $10,000 in payments and you want that deposited to your bank account immediately. You'll have the option to pay a premium because they're funding you before they actually get funded. So you'll have the option to pay a premium, maybe an extra percentage on that amount to get those funds faster. So it can be on a transactional basis. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing situation.
Thank you, Alex. And the last question I see is, can we get a copy of the video to share with our staff? Absolutely. We will share the recording of this webinar with everybody. And then before I wrap us up, Casey, are you good? Anything else?
And that's it from my end.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. And I hope you found this webinar useful. Also, thank you, Alex, for joining us at short notice. As I said earlier, we will make an announcement as soon as the release goes live next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Thank you for joining us.